Hi guys, welcome once again to my channel. My name is Victoria and I'll be taking you through classification of designs in fashion. I am your fashion lecturer, so keep in tune with my channel and get all the details you need to start your fashion business. My lecture notes will be helpful to you as a fashion student or any new fashion designer out there. Today we'll be talking about classifications of designs in fashion clothing. We are talking about garments. Usually when you're asked to produce a garment as a fashion student, or probably you're a new designer and thinking of what kind of garments to produce for the runway, sometimes we get a little bit frustrated or confused. All the other garments that we have, such as casual, bridal, evening wear, evening gowns, smart casual, all that falls into two major categories. So we want to know the classification of this category before we can choose a garment. Okay, so let's start. We have two main classifications of garment design, okay, in fashion design. And the first one we have, you can follow my pointer, we have the structural design and the decorative, let me say, garment design. Okay, so structural garment design, decorative garment design. Now, what is structural garment design and what is decorative garment design? The structural design includes an all over design of a garment. If we say an all over design of a garment, I'll be showing you other pictures actually. This means that the garment is showcasing every detail on it clearly. Okay, this, if you look at this garments over here, they are in their original fabrics, nothing has been added. So that is an all over design. You can see the details clearly on this garment, nothing is actually hidden. You may even see stitches clearly. You may see detailing like buttons and zips and all that very clearly. You can see the pleats and the gatherings, everything is very clear and everything is in its position. Now, what makes this garment unique? In a structural garment design, the designer knows that I am going to use my fabric and I'm not going to attach any other extra stuff like an embellishment or a bead or sequence to the garment. No, it is a special kind of garment or the basis of a garment. So you need to take your time to get your detailings right. Details like colors. If you have curves, it's supposed to be curves. If you have lines, you got to get your stitching straight. Okay, now let's have a look at this. Some elements of basic structural designs are divided into four ways. Okay, what are these elements? If you're going to stitch a structural design, you should consider these basic structural elements. The first one is the silhouette. The silhouette basically talks about the shape of the dress. Okay, so we have straight, in a garment you find probably straight lines, you find bell shapes, okay, depending on the design of the garment, but still silhouette. So this one, we are just talking about the shape of what the garment, whatever shape it is supposed to be clearly and neatly done. We are supposed to see that clearly. Okay, now you will see lines, you see straight lines, you see curved lines, we have colors, warm and cold colors, we have texture, smooth, stiff, rough, rich and shiny. This comes from what? The kind of fabric that you use. It is said that a structural garment design is quite complex and more difficult to stitch than the other type, which we'll be talking about later in this video. So what makes structural designs very difficult? Because one, every detailing on the garment is supposed to be seen, so you need a good finishing for your garment. You're going to use the fabric the way it is, your stitches are going to be out, your colors and everything on that garment is going to show, nothing is going to cover it. And I can give an example. Let's say a male jacket. Okay, that is a structural design. Why? Because you see all the details clearly without any cover, nothing covers it. So the designer needs to be very careful about stitching. Now, these are some examples of the structural the structural garments actually. So if you look at this, the first picture, look at the second picture, look at the third picture, and look at the last one. Now, I want to make something clear over here. If we say a structural design, we mean that it is not covered in any extra stuff like buttons, sequins, beads, and etc. This doesn't mean that you can't blend colors. Please note, colors can be part of structural garments, but so far as it is the original fabric that is being used, that is okay. An example is on this last picture. These pictures are not actually mine. But this last picture, you can see a combination of colors over here, but in that combination we can actually see all details. We can even see the kind of fabrics that have been used in their natural states without any extra coverings like sequins and the others. Okay, that still makes it a structural garment. You can see all the shapes out, the curves, the lines, everything is clear. Let's What about this? This is easy to see, right? Now let's look at the bell sleeve that we have over here. So you can see that it has an outstanding shape. Please note, if we say structural garments, it doesn't mean that the garment is restricted to the use of fabrics only. Any other kind of material can be used in making such a garment since it's going to stand on its own. Let's look at a more complicated one. This is made from paper origami, as we can see, and this is also made in something like bamboo sticks or canes. Okay, so it is also considered as a structural garment. Please note, in fashion we are not restricted to just fabrics. You can use anything you want to use to stitch. I want us to look at the second type of garment design that we have in fashion. This is the decorative design. The decorative design refers to the surface enrichment of structural design. So you see, the first one is a structural design where the designer uses the fabric in its natural state without any additions of any stuff or any embellishment. But in a decorative design here, the designer adds embellishments. Okay, embellishment is surface enrichment, where you enrich the surface of your fabric. A lot of people like doing this anyway, probably to add class, add color and all that. But there's one thing with decorative garment. You see, if there's a little bit of mistake on your structural garment, you can easily change your structural garments to a decorative garment design anyways, because you can easily cover faults with beads, with buttons, with laces, you know, and the rest. All right, so far as the garment is covered in something else that is extra, which is not the original fabric, it becomes a decorative garment, as we can see the pictures here. Now let's move on. So requirements of a good decorative design. Decorative design should be used in moderate the design and quality. If you want to use beads, for example, for a decorative garment design, it is not advisable to use it all over the space of the garment. You can use the beads or probably sequins or whatever you want to use to highlight some sections on the garments. You see, that's why the second point says it should be placed at a structural point and strengthen the shape of the object. So maybe you want to place it at the bust area, or you want to place it on the collar, on the sleeve, particular areas, but not to cover the whole space or the whole background space. Okay, yeah. And the surface pattern should cover the surface quietly. There should be enough background space to give an effect of simplicity and dignity to the design. And there's one more important point that I would like to make here also. Please make sure the kind of embellishment material you're using goes with your fabric. For example, if you can use, let's say if you're using a satin fabric, yes, with satin you can use a sequin, it's going to work, right? Because both have shining surface. If you are going to use a tulle fabric, which is the net fabric that we talk about, then no, you can use a tulle fabric with a pearl bead, which is quite heavy. The heaviness of the pearl is going to